We're going to give our thoughts on Star Trek Picard this final season. Not a rundown of anything. We do learn that Beverly has another son named Jack.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack is...
There's something special about Jack.
Something extremely special. And, Riker and Picard find them. And Riker's like, there's something familiar about this kid. And then, Jean-Luc, do you not see this?
Yep.
Turns out Jean-Luc is a papa.
Mm-hmm.
He and Beverly, we all knew there was an interest there between them, and by golly, they acted on it.
They had a special night.
Hey. They met in sickbay one night. What kind of experiments can we get into? So, so Picard is Jean-Luc is a dad. And I love the series, Bo, you talk about being a parent, and
yes,
this season was all about parenting and what do you do as a parent,
mm-hmm.
and Picard and Jack having to come to terms with the fact that we've just discovered each other. We didn't know each other existed. We didn't know our relationship was there, and watching them grow very quickly under a lot of stress.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah, Jack's Beverly's kind of turned into a pirate type figure. So is Jack. And if you watch Deep Space Nine, and know Odo, rest in peace, Renee Aubergenois.
Made me think, on top of this, before you get into it, this entire season, not just for Next Gen, if you like that era of Star Trek, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, this was to me, whether, the original series laid a lot of the foundation of Star Trek, that era of Star Trek is pretty much the central lore.
Yeah, it really is.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you liked any of those, that's where it builds off of. Like you said, you've got, of course, the Changeling. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to trigger or something.
No.
This is thought I had. So
no, perfectly fine. No, and if you haven't watched Deep Space Nine ever, I know Jess has not.
It's slow to start, but is it good?
That is one of the best Trek series out there. It's fantastic. But the Changelings, you learn about those in Deep Space Nine. And Odo, who was the station security officer, he slept in a bucket. A puddle of goo.
Yeah.
Well, the Changelings have some revenge on their minds for the Dominion War.
Yep. And which is so funny. That's the biggest thing in technology changes, because when I expected to see some of the Changelings morph to a liquid, I expected that shiny gold look, not a fleshy, snotty look kind of thing, which might be more accurate, but still, it was a little disturbing.
Yeah, it really was. But what was fun is Vadic.
Yes.
Who was when she showed up in her ship, the Shrike.
Yes.
I was screaming, "Oh my gosh! Did they find the Vulcans?" Because if you go to the Kelvin timeline, the first Star Trek reboot movie with Chris Pine and your guy, what did that?
Zachary Quinto.
Yeah.
Carl Urban.
Yeah, Carl Urban. That timeline, you see a very similar ship. Eric Bana playing the Romulan, and his name escapes me. I feel so bad about that.
Yeah, I know. It's
Nero. Yeah, Nero ship looks similar.
Very similar. Yeah,
very similar. So that's what I was thinking. I'm like, well, they're about to merge the Kelvin timeline into this. But what I enjoyed, Vadic was played by Amanda Plummer, who I know better than any role from So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yep.
And Pulp Fiction.
Right.
Yep.
Honey Bunny. So I love the fact that they brought her in as the big bad for this,
especially with her dad,
Christopher Plummer,
yes.
General Chang from Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country, Star Trek 6.
One of the best Trek villains. Oh,
what's that iconic line that he had that it's been for years since I've seen Star Trek 6?
Which one?
It was
Dish best served cold, or
no, that's a old Klingon proverb. Revenge is a dish
okay.
best served cold. Oh, there was something Shakespearean.
Oh yeah. Oh crud! I know, I feel so bad, but I know
Yeah,
exactly what you're talking about.
yeah,
Right before his ship gets blown up. Yes.
yeah. So, yeah. Well, trust me, we're fans.
Yes.
We're also old with bad memories.
Yeah.
Um,
You remember he said something cool. We just can't remember what it was.
yeah.
It's so funny though that like because I wasn't sure that I didn't know that shit that was her dad, but then after watching her as Vatic, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is his daughter, because she does a lot of his mannerisms, and I'm glad she did that, even though she's her own villain, she still does a lot of the way she sits in the captain's chair, and a lot of the way it was very cool.
Yeah, it really was.
And the curveball, because I'm thinking, oh great, the changelings are finally gonna take over, and boy, was I wrong. I did not know. I was thinking there was some
What's
kind
fun? Oh, go. Sorry.
of it was because yeah, I was expecting some big bad changeling bad guy. I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of interesting this season on, but I'll go with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's funny is that Brock and I had already seen it up to up
The last
till
2 episodes.
the very last episode, and that's when the second to the last when we jumped on it. It's like, Bo, just watch season 3, okay? Just because watch it.
I will be honest. I tried watching season 1. I watched it about halfway through, and I did not enjoy it.
Understandable.
And I didn't crap on it. I was just like, this ain't for me.
Yeah.
But then then these two lovely people told me, find a way to watch. Just watch this season. But I was like, you know what? I watched a couple of quick recap videos of season 1 and 2, and then I dived into season 3 while I was recovering from things.
Yeah.
And I had the time to watch it, and I was so glad I did.
It's just funny because you were chatting with us as you were watching it, and then I'm just like,
yeah, Bo was giving us the play-by-play.
Yeah,
he's about to be happy. He's about to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. But yeah, as soon as the whole thing culminates with the penultimate. Excuse me, I got hiccups now. The penultimate episode, the next to last. When they reveal what they were revealing, I immediately, Bo, you've got to stay off social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Start watching. There is no more excuses. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to have the most beautiful thing in the world spoiled for you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't phrase it like that because that would get.
Yeah, no, you're just like
you're going to have something major spoiled. You don't want this spoiled. Trust me. You want to see this in real time.
Mm-hmm.
But he was right. It was the most beautiful thing. Like if it had got spoiled, I would have been upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it turns out, the whole premise of the season, Vatic and the changelings ticked off about the Dominion War, and they have
a deal with the devil.
They made a big deal with a big devil,
big time,
and they became buddies with the Borg. You don't realize
Borg buddies.
You don't realize this until later on, but you're like, why do the changelings have such an interest in destroying the Federation right now?
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be something a little bit more than just, we lost the Dominion War or whatever.
Yeah.
They had a massive plan, and the Borg, they assimilate. And I know we're jumping all over the place, but Jack has visions.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Jack is having these visions. There's a red door. He's got these red streaks, but he can jump into people. He doesn't know how. Doesn't know why. And so
he could kind of. Usually, it was particular people younger, under the age of under the age of 30.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And the Vatic and the changelings are looking for Jack because Jack had this ability. And
well, here's if people want to start putting that together. He is the son of like I said, John Luke and Crusher, and of course, what did John Luke endure? Some fun time with the Borg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he gets assimilated in the Best of Both Worlds season 3 cliffhanger as Locutus of Borg, and so the Borg, they know Jean Luc. Well, there all of a sudden there's his son with these special abilities, but you don't know the Borg's involved yet.
Yeah,
but that Jack's got these abilities, and it's something weird. And Jean-Luc's like, well, he's getting remnants of my Irimitic syndrome.
Yep.
And it's during this time, cast members, next gen cast members, are slowly creeping back into the fold.
Yes.
Not everybody's rushing in at one time.
Right.
We get introduced to Crusher at the beginning, Beverly, right at the beginning. And then all of a sudden, Raffi, who is a character, is about the only character you really need to know from the first 2 seasons. But then again, you really don't need to know her. Just know
they do a good job kind of rehashing what happened to her.
Yeah. So she's looking for somebody who's giving her clues about, Frontier Day, what's going to happen on Frontier Day. Something big is building and it involves the changelings or whatever else. And it finds out the person giving her information is Worf, who is freaking hilarious.
It's a different kind of Worf now.
He's much older. He's more of a pacifist, which is so funny.
Which I did some reading. Apparently, a lot of the I guess the popular fan theories, because he was captain of the Enterprise E after Picard, and apparently he did something that wound up causing a lot of damage. So they've I think that's when he started embracing his pacifism to kind of balance himself. That's what I said. As I told y'all, I love it. He had that great line about Slayer of Gowron. Would you like some tea?
Oh yeah, he's great. Oh my gosh, Worf is so funny during.
And I'm so glad they put him back in the special class yellow.
Yeah.
Even though he looked good in Command Red, the yellow was always going to be. It looked better on Worf.
Yeah. And they eventually gave him his the old Klingon sash.
Yes, that's what they did such a good job. Like I said, they just do the little oh man, and it's they just keep building and the Easter eggs. You want to talk about Easter eggs? Like we'll get to this here in a minute, but
the first big Easter egg that got me on the first episode was like, okay, this looks great. They've been reunited with Beverly. There's something to this Jack kid, and then in credits roll, it's the score to Star Trek First Contact, and I cried. I kid you not. That is my favorite. I love the First Contact score. I love the Generation score, and when that opening score to First Contact hit in the credits, I'm like, oh my gosh, that ripped my heart out. But then starting to see the little Easter eggs in the end credits where they're talking about some fleet museum, you see the Enterprise A, you see Voyager listed. I was like, oh, what are they building to? And boy, do they build. But yeah, so Worf comes in, Riker comes in. You find out Riker's son.
Yes.
Riker, Will and Deanna's son has been killed. Right?
I can't remember how he passed.
Yeah, I can't either. But they've got a daughter. Right? It wasn't the daughter that was killed. It was the son, right?
It was the son.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you see Deanna, Will comes, Will's back in the first episode. So you got Crusher, you got Will, you've got Worf that shows up, and then you've got Deanna that shows up via a video message. She and Will are kind of on the outs. They're having some issues. Geordi.
We meet Geordi's daughters in this series.
He's the first officer, or not first.
Chief engineer. No, was she a chief engineer?
No, his other daughter was an engineer, but his daughter, his actual reverse daughter, was the engineer daughter.
Okay, and then the other one was the helmsman.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, the pilot. So we meet his daughters, which brings Geordi's kind of retired, running the fleet museum.
He's a commandant, isn't he? Yes, he's. I think
so. Yeah. He's running the fleet museum where all these ships are. So, they go visit Geordi. You get to see some of the ships. You see Voyager hanging out there, which, you see Voyager, you see the Defiant from Deep Space Nine.
Enterprise A.
You saw the Enterprise A.
Yes.
You've seen all these old ships, and I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God, here are the ships. I love the Star Trek characters, but man, I love me some ships.
Yeah, the ships are.
And so, that's how you get Geordi back in. Data died at the end of season 1. They killed him off, and you think you're not going to get Data back, and then they just happen to find
Well, that was at the Daystrom?
Daystrom Institute, yeah.
Which the amount of Easter eggs in there, I didn't notice it the first time until I rewatched it. One of the things was the Genesis device. Did you know that?
Yes.
I didn't notice that the first time. I was like, "Oh,
dude!" As soon as I saw that, it was a Genesis 2 project, right?
Yeah.
There's a second Genesis project. And yeah, and I saw that and I about leaped. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do with this?
That and the tribbles with teeth was very terrifying too, by the way.
Yes. And then the body of Captain Kirk is in a tank in there or in stasis or something. They went and retrieved Kirk's body off Viridian 3, right?
Yep.
He died on Viridian.
It's Viridian 3, yes.
So they went and retrieved Kirk's body after Picard had buried him under a pile of rocks. By the way, look up OTOY on YouTube, Otoy, and they kind of reveal they're doing kind of a Roddenberry archive, and they kind of reveal who came in, or at least assuming who came and was able to get Kirk off the planet.
Okay.
And I don't mind telling you.
Well, please, because I need to look into this. Who did they say?
It's a 2-minute clip.
Okay.
It's a 2-minute clip. No CGI, no AI, and it's not Leonard Nimoy.
Okay.
They got a dude in makeup. You don't know that's not Leonard Nimoy.
Oh.
They had Spock come back, pick up Kirk's badge that Picard had laid on the rocks, picked it up, and he turns around. He's standing on Viridian 3. I mean, he's at the side. He's standing over Kirk's grave and pulls his hood back. And it is Leonard Nimoy Spock to a T. But from what I've read, it's an actor in makeup.
Yeah.
And it's Leonard Nimoy. It straight up and down.
Wow.
So go look that up. It's a 2-minute clip. It's worth watching. It's
OTOY. Okay.
OTOY. I guess Otoy.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're working with Terry Matalas apparently on what's happening is this project is they're going through and trying to fill in the holes of the story. So now that you've seen Kirk's body or you've seen his name on a stasis tank or a stasis field or tank or whatever in Picard, now they're going back and filling in some of the holes. How did he get there?
Well, first of all, if we're in the business of resurrecting captains, can we? Even though I hated the guy at the beginning of the series, he now became one of my favorite. I need Captain Shaw back.
The Dip S from Chicago.
Yes, like that guy. He took me from completely like I want to punch this guy to like I like him.
Yeah.
I like this guy a whole lot.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about it, but he's the captain of the Titan.
Titan.
And that's where they get 7 of 9 to go on this little adventure with Vadic and.
Man, that made me think. I hadn't talked with you guys since I watched it, but man, that scene like made me think where you got 7 of 9, like Voyager. Man, when she is talking to, well, eventually it wound up not being Tuvok.
Oh yeah,
that whole scene where they talk and then they sprinkle in the Voyager theme in the background. I was like, oh
yeah, it's all right. Yeah, oh, it's fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Like I said, if you love that era of Trek, I've messaged so many people that have not watched it or people I knew that like Trek. I'm like, just watch this season. You will not regret it.
Yeah, and I'm ashamed that we haven't even brought up 7 of 9 yet. She's a massive part of the season.
Oh, she was wonderful, and like I'm happy for Jerry Ryan.
Well, she's been a huge part of the entire Picard series. All 3 seasons, she's a massive part of it. But season 3 is where she really. Kicked it into high gear.
Yeah.
She helps Picard and Riker get the Titan and squirrel it away in the first episode. And that's anyway, go watch the series. Like I said, we're not going to do a big breakdown. We're just giving thoughts, and we're coming up on 3 hours of sitting here.
Wow.
This is the longest we've gone. But that's including the Patreon content.
Well, let's get to the big part.
The big part.
The big reveal.
Everybody gets together. Data, there's a new Dr. Soong, is Noonien Soong, who is Data and Lore's creator, basically is somehow infused with Lore and Data.
Yeah, he's parts of all the 4 variants. You got Data, Lore, B4, and Soong himself, right?
Yeah. And that's why when you see Data, he looks more human in this. He looks more like Soong than he does Data. Data and Lore.
Well, he's a synthetic, right? He's synthetic. Yeah.
So yeah, all four of those make up this new android. It's got bits and pieces of all of them, and there's an internal struggle. Lore, you think Lore is going to sabotage the entire mission?
Oh man,
he's bad news. Always has been.
Yeah.
But then Data is programmed not to hurt anybody. He's always, peaceful and don't hurt anybody. Well, he finally, during the whole skirmish where the changelings, Vatican all have taken over the Titan, and they're basically trying to take over Starfleet. Where I guess we have Frontier Day is the goal, where all these ships are going to be together so they can.
Which also it's another big thing in Star Trek. You finally get to see the Enterprise F in live action for the first time. Yeah,
and that was they announced the Enterprise F, but before the season started, and it was not anything. I love seeing it on the screen. What little they showed of it.
Well, technically, it was its retirement ceremony. I was reading about that. Yeah. I've been doing the deep dive. Apparently, they were retiring the F that day.
I have been a lifetime subscriber to Star Trek Online, the video game, which is still going for 10 years, I think now. And the Enterprise F was introduced a few years ago in Star Trek Online. So I've seen the ship before.
Yeah. I mean,
so I'm like, well, that's great. It's good to see it finally on the screen and acknowledged. So if you didn't know that the Enterprise F existed before this season, it has been around for a few years.
Yeah.
In the game, Star Trek Online. But and I don't want to keep dragging this out. But anyway, Lore is trying to help the changelings. But he's trying to destroy everything that the next gen crew is doing, and Data finally, I guess, gets brave, and
he outsmarts him.
He outsmarts Lore as they're fighting inside the android's head.
His consciousness,
There's one side that's Data, one side that's Lore, and there is a barrier, positronic barrier, whatever, set up in between the two personalities where they can't interact. Well, Geordi, removes the barrier, and hoping that Data will pull off the impossible and finally take down Lore for good, which you think Lore, you see in the imagery. Data's disappearing, and Lore's like, haha, I got you. And then Data's like, well, you've been taking all these gifts from me, you're becoming me. And haha, and Data overrides Lore and becomes the Data we know and love.
That's great.
Except a much more human Data, which I got so tickled when he started using contractions.
Yes.
I'm what? Data doesn't say I'm, it's always I am. So that's how you get Data back. And finally, there's the shot. They finally get Deanna with them.
The whole crew
comes together, and they're in a shuttle. Oh my gosh, it's like, oh, that's amazing. It's so wonderful to finally see all the next gen crew together. At the end of that next episode, you learn that the Borg is using. You learn through Jack's visions that it's the Borg that's responsible for basically creating organic assimilation, because they have infiltrated the transporter codes. So when you transport in and out and your DNA gets rearranged to show up somewhere else, the Borg assimilation and the change
became a virus.
It became basically a virus.
It was a dormant virus. They used that instead of Picard's Aromatic syndrome was not Aromatic syndrome. It was what they introduced into him. And it just showed the symptoms of it. But that was them planting the initial virus. And then he passed it on biologically to Jack. And then therefore it started, and then they used the changelings to introduce it into the transporter system. And essentially, I go where you're at. Sorry.
No, you're
let's say, and then you get into, Jack's finally realized, that he's going to give the Borg what they want, give him. So he's thinking he's saving everybody by giving himself, but then unfortunately he is the catalyst for awakening what I call the anti-boomer Borg virus.
Yeah, right.
Because apparently there's a part of the brain that develops when you're younger, and that's how he was able to control, and that's what the Borg were using to control him.
Yeah.
So essentially, anyone under the age of 30 was assimilated if they'd been transported.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, when they do introduce the Borg, there's a voice that's been calling to Jack this entire time. It's Alice Krieger. It's the Borg Queen from First Contact.
Was that her in the makeup too?
No.
Okay. No, it's just her voice.
I kept an eye on the credits for that one. She was just the voice. It looked like her, but
she looked like her, and that version of the Borg Queen looked freaking awesome.
Yeah, the Borg look incredible now.
Yes.
With all the enhancements, and I really loved. And of course, they did get Jack. They did overtake him. You know,
he became Vox.
You know, which is the voice in
which
Latin.
I love also that his implants on the side was just like Locutus.
Yeah.
Like they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it becomes, you know, all the crew members, all these younger crew members, and all these ships on Frontier Day are becoming assimilated.
Yes, all the ships are hardwired together now. That's we forgot to leave that out. Yes.
Yeah, and that's a key point. All the ships are hardwired because they work in formation to form like this super group, super defensive shield. Yeah. And so now all the ships are taken over. They all communicate with each other as kind of a hive mind, like the Borg.
Yeah.
Right.
And the Borg's tapping into that, makes it happen. Captain Shaw unfortunately meets his end. And Seven's trying to take over the Titan.
Yep.
Or she does take over the Titan finally to try to break away. But there's one ship that you don't know what they're doing, but they're the next gen crew. They're going to they're trying to get to the space dock
where all the old ships are stored. Yes.
Yeah, they're going to the Fleet Museum because Geordi's like, I got something. I know how we can do this. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
The end of the penultimate episode when they're going back, I'm on the couch and I'm like, they're going back to the Fleet Museum to get an old ship. And I'm like, okay, are they going to get in Voyager? Yeah. And I'm like, that would be really cool. And then my brain switched. Oh, wait, the Enterprise A is sitting there. Mm-hmm. Are they going to get Kirk's ship? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be the next gen crew on Kirk's ship? And I'm just loving this. I'm like, oh, this is great. They get to the Fleet Museum, the space dock, and the doors start opening. And it's a slow opening. And you're like, okay, well, we saw the Enterprise A sitting outside, so it's not going to be the Enterprise A. And then it hit me. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
There's no way. Those doors open and you see a black silhouette
of a Galaxy
class ship, and I screamed.
He did scream.
Jess, what was your phrase, Jess?
I was going to say I regret not filming Brock while watching this episode. I mean, he screamed like a girl.
Yeah,
he really did.
I will not recreate that.
This was fangirl squeal.
Well, like it was for me, I went from excitement to confusion because I'm like, after seeing, Generations, I'm like, how?
Well, no, he did the same thing because
this is also about how
he's sitting there going how, and then all of a sudden Picard says how, So
Jordy's like, well, little thing called the Prime Directive. We can't leave our Starfleet technology on a foreign planet, so we had to go back and get the saucer section. So Geordi, during his time of running this Fleet Museum, just had a little side project.
Just a little fixer-upper side project.
Stripping off some nacelles from another Galaxy-class ship. And
I forgot what the body was from. What ship was that? They said it was. I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
But yeah.
Geordi rebuilt the Enterprise D, which had zero connection to the current day Starfleet.
Which was also, it was very reinforced when they transferred the command to it, and of course, as you just witnessed, as you got her in her ranch eating glory, Majel saying, I know they used, it said command of the Enterprise transferred to Jean-Luc Picard, and it was her. I was like, oh man,
I cried. Matter of fact, before she spoke, I looked at Jess. I'm like, are they going to get Majel? And then she spoke, and I went, Majel! I cried. Oh, dude, I was crying buckets, and they had to recreate the entire bridge of the Enterprise D.
They did an excellent job.
They were spot on. They even brought in Andrew Probst, I believe is his name, that designed the bridge and designed the Enterprise. And they brought him, I saw an interview afterwards, and they brought him in, and he's like, oh my gosh, you nailed every detail of this thing. They recreated it to a T. The one original part is the dedication plaque.
That's the only original part. That makes sense.
Dedication plaque was from the original show that they put in there.
But yeah, I was reading about it. Like they said, like a couple of things were different. Like, you know, they, instead of using incandescent bulbs to light up the LCARS panels, it was of course LED. But I think they made them bright, but not too bright. You know what I mean? Like it. And
they animated.
Yeah.
You know. Oh, it was, dude. I was screaming and crying when the D was there, and I'm like, oh, that's when we told Bo, dude, you can't have what's just happening spoiled. Stop what you're doing. I do not care. Give up family time. Give up eating. Don't sleep. Watch this show now.
Well, it was good. Like I said, the other little detail is they left all the burnt scarring on the front of the saucer section from where it crashed.
Yeah, and that's another thing in the OTOY, I don't know how you pronounce it. In their video, it starts out you're looking kind of like down a canyon. There's a river going through, and you're like, "Oh, this is a beautiful shot." And then you see a shuttlecraft fly overhead, and the shot is the skid mark on Meridian 3. It's leading to the Enterprise D saucer section, and so you see crew members working on the saucer section. So, like I said, they're trying to fill in holes in the Star Trek story.
Yeah,
you know, from this. So yeah, that's part of that video, that 2-minute video as well, where Spock is. But yeah, and of course the final episode.
What a way to go out,
man. That's where you have the whole big thing with the Borg Queen. You find in is Alice Krika voicing her, and man, go ahead, y'all. Just talk about the final episode. I'm reminiscing.
Well, I mean, it's very good. You get to it's wonderful. You get to see the original crew have one last big important mission. You get to see the Enterprise D basically go yeehaw through a Borg cube.
And there are also good YouTube videos out there right now that have taken that scene and adding music to it. I've seen one, Holding Out for a Hero. I've seen one that's Sabotage by Beastie Boys. So
of course, Sabotage is the multi-layers with the Kelvin. But of course, with us being Southerners, my favorite one has been Freebird.
I haven't seen that. Oh, wow.
I haven't seen that one either.
I kind of wish they would have kind of like, you know, when Data said he could fly, you know, they could have been funny and been like offered Troy and been like, no, last time you flew this thing, no. But no, it's like, of course they ride. Of course, you have an away team of Picard, Riker, and Worf. They go on inside. They're trying to take him out. They're going to be the boots on the ground, which, you know, Picard kind of goes to, he wants to save Jack. It's personal in both ways.
It's a Borg cube that's sitting in the gaseous atmosphere of Jupiter.
Yeah.
And that's where they're having to go. And they're using that as a hiding spot. Jack is, serving, the Borg cube is serving as a transmitter to all the Borg out in the galaxy. And Jack is basically Locutus giving the commands.
Yeah.
You know,
it's really cool. Like, and like, I thought we weren't going to see actually any Borg drones, but they gave us some there. See, this is what made me think also, once I realized the Borg were involved, I kept waiting for them to be using the changelings because, you know, some of them could have a physical, you know, they could have a physical presence, because that's kind of technically, that's one species the Borg would probably have a hard time assimilating, you know, because they're liquid. Yeah,
man, how they did that was so beautiful.
Like, there's so many, like I said, they whoever wrote this season took over, like I said, that 10-15 years era of Star Trek and made something special.
It's all Terry Metalis, man. He and all the ships they had, but the gut wrencher line for me is when Picard, you know, the Borg Queen is telling him, you know, you're tough luck. You pull all his cords out. You know, while he's transmitting instructions to the Borg, you're gonna You're going to kill him. He's going to be stuck in there. And Picard knows better. So he pulls out one of Vox's cables and rams it in his own head.
Yep. And that was very cool, seeing the inside of the collective hive mind for once.
But the line that got me, I was already in a blubbering mess watching this thing because I was just so in love with seeing everybody back. But, when Picard is trying to convince him to come out of the collective and trying to get his son back, and he just looked at him and said, "I will stay with you to the end. You have changed my life forever." And I was like, from the dad to the son.
Yep.
From a son he didn't know he had, just a few moments season wise ago that, that tugged my heart so hard.
Well, that's also the one thing that was one of the other big story arcs, because, Picard didn't know he was there. He always thought like Starfleet was the family he only needed.
Yeah.
And there's times you see where Jack had reached out to him beforehand and not knowing it was him.
Right.
Yeah. And golly, man, but yeah, ultimately Borg go down, everything gets restored to Starfleet, everybody changes back to normal, and at the end you see 7 of 9, now Captain 7 of 9. She takes control of the Enterprise G.
The renamed Titan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the Enterprise G. And so
I really hope they give us a legacy series.
I have a strong feeling one will be coming.
Yeah, because now Jack's part of her crew.
Yeah.
And
I hope they'll get all the other characters from Deep Space Nine and everyone else kind of to give them their final due. Next Gen's had their go. Let's let Deep Space Nine guys have one last time.
And unfortunately Renee won't be able to.
Yeah.
He passed a few years ago. But
Cisco's out there somewhere.
Yeah. So Worf's still available.
Yeah. But he goes to bed early these days.
He fell asleep on the bridge.
That's what, as soon as I said that, I thought of Jessica. I was like, yep, Worf's channeling his inner Jessica.
He is my spirit animal now.
Have you seen the great memes of him asleep in
Bernie
different
Sanders?
Places? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah. Oh geez. But that, as we alluded to, talking back about Huntsville with John Delancey, Q made a return in the after credits scene. Jack, after the credits went out, Jack is there, and Q, he turns around and Q's there. Like, oh, you've got many more adventures in you.
Yeah.
Like, I hope so.
Made me think, I'm sorry we're jumping back around, but I forgot about one of the other little Easter eggs that, like, I lost. My wife saw me lose my mind over was when they were dealing with Moriarty on the Daystrom.
Yes.
He kept talking about this earworm stuck in his head, and it was Pop Goes the Weasel from when I was like, oh, because I've watched Encounter at Farpoint like 8 million times. Like that, it's, even though it's a little cheesy by today's standards, it is still such a great introduction.
Yeah.
And like it was just all that stuff. Like I said, it was 7 years, 3 movies, and they combined it into one season and everything involved with it.
Yeah. Yeah. They wrapped up Next Generation beautifully. They gave that crew a proper send off.
They did.
I want like the Next Gen crew. Their story can be done. That's fine, but give me more legacy. That's what I've always wanted from Trek. Outside of Strange New Worlds, which I'm loving to death, which we will be hopefully discussing here very soon. So,
yeah.
So legacy, give me more of that. I want Trek to move forward. That's what I've always enjoyed about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Jerry and Jack, or 7 of 9 and Jack, need this.
Yeah,
John Delancey needs this. We need more Q.
Yes, I need, and then like I said, give us some of the other characters from Voyager, Deep Space Nine some time to go. I need Captain Harry Kim finally.
Yeah,
maybe he got past. Maybe